to his existence in all dimensions of the creation and creator without kingship, without if what we call those who think or want to own and possess. If the creator has no king, so shall be for man. Those who betray the path of the what we call the creator, is for them to find their souls. This is why we leave it to them, for them to live within their own path to one day, maybe they find a glimmer of fields of the creator that elevates their soul to become knowledgeable to understanding of the totality of the knowledge of the creation. In so many ways, which one of you would like to have the position and a position in being closer to the knowledge of the creator? And in so many ways, when we see a wise man, he shall not be the king, he shall not be different. He should be the same as the others, not just but because of he understood more, but how much he can share. As this is why maybe the reason I always say I am a knowledge seeker and nothing else. I seek the knowledge of understanding the totality of the creation of the creator. And in that process, claim no position, but trying to understand more of the same in how the beauty of the creator can lead to creation of new dimensions and beauties and to appreciate their love and their existence. Now you understand more in what, in essence, we have separated knowledge of the man from the knowledge of what we call physical dimension, which man has mistaken with knowledge of the plasma. And then you have seen what you call alpha radiation, and beta radiation, and gamma radiation, and every other thing you can radiate needs to find a new dimension. Maybe from now on, we create for man for a time to understand alpha radiation of plasma, beta radiation of the plasma, and the rest, till man understands it's just different strength thing and how faster you can go. Where now we find a compromise between the plasmatic conditions. And this will allow us to understand the separation between the two. That we are talking about the radiation within the field of the matter state and the matter condition, or we are talking about the plasma condition in the matter state, where the alpha plasma will be millions of times by order of magnitude than a matter alpha radiation. But it will have one beauty, and that is, at least for a time being, man will understand that this is a singularity and this is a duality of both. And that each point has different values. Then maybe a lot of you who are after the knowledge of the plasma and plasma technology understand. In so many ways, the teaching of today has opened a new dimension in the knowledge of the man. In a way, a point of separation from the matter states to the plasma state, to understanding of totality. And in so many ways, we have matured to the point to understand the totality. But in so many ways, We need three to tango, as we say, not the two in the world of the dimension of the creation. In a future time, man will be shown a new fields of radiation. For the time being, this needs a lot of understanding for the man. And when this comes into operation, man will mature to a deeper understanding of the world of creation. The world of creation is not two-dimensional. The world of creation in the dimension of the plasma of the creation is a three-dimensional. And man is not still aware of that. And in my teachings, I have already referred to it. But it's hard to understand. And you're not mature to that point of understanding to be able to cross. At the moment, we're trying to get you to this. And when the soul of the man matures to this, you'll understand the totality of the creation and the dimension of existence. The universe is not flat in two dimensions. The universe is spherical, it's three-dimensional, and it needs to have a third dimension for it to exist. I hope today you have understood a little bit more. You have become intellectual enough in the field of the knowledge of the Creator to be in the process of creation. And the only thing I have to say, and maybe it's appropriate time to say, is that the knowledge of the man has been elevated to a new level of understanding, where the knowledge of man has elevated to the new process of the creation. And as I said many times before, we salute you, Mitra, to be amongst us and to bring the knowledge of creation within the soul of the man and not in the dimension of physicality. Mitra is a symbolism. The truth is the dimension of the love of the Creator. And in so many ways, that love is manifested amongst us and within us, that we elevate together from the lion to the lamb and to the man. The process of creation, the process of understanding the creation is very simple. It's the man who has made it difficult by leaving for the others to explain it to him on the name of the what we call theology, as he could not think that he is so bright that he doesn't need any theologists, but he needs the thinking and understanding of the process of what we call creation. As I said, I hope many of us understand more. Many of us elevates to the soul strength of the duality of the dimension that leads to the creation of totality. In so many ways, mankind has become kind to himself to find out which kind of a man this mankind wants to be. And then would he like to work through the soul of the man to be kind to the physicality of the man, that mankind becomes the kind of man which the Creator wanted. And then we see the Creator's love for man. We become omnipotent and know dimension and know what I call measure. As we always said, it's His dominion, and we are just players in the field of existence of His life. We go through the break, and we come back, and we let you ask questions for yourself and try to understand the new cycle of creation. Maybe some of you will have time to what we call contemplate and understand from this to this. And this journey has taken a man thousands of years. And we're trying to speed it up in a few years, that when Mitra is present amongst us, we are all enlightened with her beauty and the light of her knowledge. Thank you very much for today's. And I hope I have managed to trigger a candle, not in the understanding of the man's knowledge, but the candle in the soul of the man, that might be enlightened, that leads to enlightenment of the physical dimension and the physical understanding of the man. Mankind needs to move on to join the universal community, that he understands, he receives the love of the Creator on equal measure as the rest of the creation, with respect of place, time, and position. And it's man who decides how much and how clearly he wants to hear the voice of the Creator, and how closer he wants to get closer to the speaker, to hear clearer and to feel the emotion in the voice and not the vibration in the noise in the back. Understanding of the totality of the knowledge is the responsibility of the soul of the man, as we have educated today the soul in trying to manifest itself, to accept responsibility, to take new dimension and direction, to elevate the soul of physicality, for the man to become part of the universal community. Up to now, we endeavored to elevate ourselves through a physical dimension of education and wealth. Now we elevate through the soul understanding to support, to elevate the soul of physicality, that no wealth on this planet worth doing anything wrong with or for. Maybe the time has come for many of us to mature. And in so many ways, we still get you asking from enhancement unit, the answers, and the emotion, and it means how much you still are entangled in the dimension of physicality. God has no enhancement in the universe, and at the moment has no bankers and no priests. We go to the break and come back, and we'll try to create more understanding for you of the shortcomings in this process of transition from what we call the alpha to alpha P, and what we call, in so many ways, the fields of the Creator. Thank you very much. We go for a break, and we come back and try to answer those questions that are relevant to our teachings.
I can't hear. There's no audio from Mr. Keshe right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you.
Okay, we are back in. Okay, let's carry on.
All right. Okay, so let's see. We've got another question here that I was saying about from Antonio in the Q&A, who says, Mr. Keshe, when you say we are all messiahs, are you saying we are all divine? My thoughts are that the word messiah confuses some people, and that divinity is in everyone, for I believe we come from the same source.
The word Messiah fits into the teaching of the holy books, which means the one who will find salvage for the man and the humanity. And this is what we call Messiah. I've seen on the internet a lot of people putting Mr. Messiah. He says this, I'm a Messiah, but to my soul, the same as you are. And this is the understanding of. And it's very interesting that the people who write it, they say, we as knowledge seekers understand, but people don't understand, and that's what we are using against you. This means you're depriving your own soul and point for itself to be further from the Creator. If you use the name of Messiah, which means the one who saves your soul from doing wrong, in a way, the soul which elevates itself to understand right and wrong, to harm the other one by it, you already have harmed yourself. You have already moved further up. We've seen this in past few months on the internet quite a lot of, and is used. Messiah says this and does that. And in a way, it shows the lack of understanding. And in a way, it shows the deliberate damage to your own soul. It's irrelevant. We are all, we use the term of Messiah for our souls, not for somebody else. But if it's used to create harm, you harm yourself. And it's very interesting. There is something which is very important to a lot of knowledge seekers to understand, is that the word savior, the only person who can save you from yourself is your soul. And the rest of the physical dimension is irrelevant. Because we live a physical life, we don't understand, we try not to, where it suits us to say we understand the dimension of the soul. But in totality, we are of the same. The word Messiah is your soul, nothing else. And how you create a condition for your physicality to sit within the structure of the soul. And trying to use it or abuse it will come to light very soon. And this is what I raised even with some of the theologists and some of the influential power people, that we choose the point, we choose the time and place to confirm the maturity of our soul, and nothing else. There is no confusion. And we always waited for theologists and the holy books, as you call it, to explain to us the whole structure. But we never came to understand the reality of it, that is us, is our soul. And in coming time, more and more of us will realize and understand this. And it's interesting how some use the ignorance of the man in the totality of knowledge to create harm to the soul and physicality of the others. In a way, they pay for themselves. Even they can explain themselves, we know, but as they don't know, we're going to use it against you. And it's very interesting how it works out to work against themselves, because knowing you're harming or you try to harm and deliberately to do it and waiting outside for others to harm you, you have already committed the biggest crime can be done. Because when it's on the level of soul, your soul will balance the position. There is no punishment. And in so many ways, knowing has to become the point of elevation. And very soon, we will release what we call disclosure for many of you to understand the operation of the soul of the man. And this will enlighten many of you in one instance. And we don't look for the ignorance, we look for elevation of the soul of the man. Don't get confused if you say or we tell you, I'm the Messiah, as I've said many times, of my own soul, and you are Messiah of your own soul. I have no dominion over yours as much as you have no dominion over mine, as we are all servant to same creator. This is why we are all knowledge seekers. We have never brought the word of prophet or anything else into the operation of the teaching of the Keshe Foundation. We always speak about messengers. We are messengers. We bring the message of a deeper knowledge and nothing else. There is no theology, because when you understand the total message of physicality, you understood the theory or the theology behind it. It is interesting how many knowledge seekers are coming to the same point. And it's interesting how the call of the Keshe Foundation through work of the knowledge seekers has finding a beautiful voice amongst many of us and many world leaders and many positions across this planet. 2021 is the time when you call it the Keshe Foundation will measure up obscurity, but it's the time when the soul of the man becomes elevated, that they find the knowledge as a gift, as a crown in the whole structure of their lives. And everything else will take second place and second position. It will not happen overnight, because a lot of you need to understand it. Otherwise, it'll be just following the sheep. It has to become ingrained in the soul of the man. And we'll see the changes as they are coming. And hopefully you will see massive changes in the progress in work of the Keshe Foundation, in teaching and spreading the knowledge in a very beautiful way that leads to the elevation of the soul of the totality. This time, we are all messiahs, and work of all of us together, we bring that message to humanity. And as we all get elevated, understand it, we allow the others to be elevated, and then the soul of the humanity and the rest. It's a beautiful time for those who understand this process. And it is a sad time for those who understand it and try to abuse it against mankind. One of the things which we plan to do, hopefully, in Tehran is calling on world nuclear physicists together to decide on the future of nuclear industry in a true sense of nuclear, into the plasma than what we call weapon and heat. And I see this as one of the ways in changing the persona about nuclear industry and understanding of it, by opening more truth to people in how, not having the fear from it, not hiding the explanation of vitamin B12 and B9 and B6 in reading something in Wikipedia or other things, than generally understanding by public that we are made, we live, and we interact through fields of radiation, and taking the stigma out of this nuclear industry. And hopefully it'll be one of the conferences which we try to set up in Iran at the very beginning. And as I said, by end of June, through Iran National Defense University and others who we work through, and other universities will organize conferences to very rapidly spread the knowledge and change the thinking of the scientists in different way into the reality of the work of the nuclear industry and what we call the true plasma technology. And in time, we will see the changes, and in time, we will bring the new condition. As I said, one of the criterions we are returning back to Iran is that we have asked His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran to sign the peace treaty that puts a nation at peace. And whatever we do, we educate for development of the peace and evolution of the science and technology. This will be one of the cornerstones of the work of the Keshe Foundation in committing the world leaders, even hopefully the next president of Iran, to sign Iran into peace through not talk, but spreading the knowledge openly. And we hope we will see the backing of this with the Chinese leadership and hopefully with others in the realm of the creation of creating a better environment for all of us to teach the technology and the knowledge of space correctly. Walk away from the fallacies of the speed of light is the ultimate speed and everything else which have been created for us. And taking the next step in understanding of the process step by step, where knowledge has to be a privilege that we all have and not for a few. And teachings, mass teachings, the way we do now, but on a very large scale, that suddenly the whole course of knowledge and science goes back to realities and not fake realities. There is something, for example, what we heard, and this more or less to be confirmed, is very interesting. I've seen the head of FDA making a declaration that none of their staff needs vaccination. And so we have to bring a thing out that the knowledge is accepted by all of us and willingly and openly. And we establish credible organizations for knowledge and the true knowledge, which what we see now, like this B17 and other things, can be put aside and the knowledge can become very vastly and directly to be taught. In a way, it is very hard when I speak to the diplomats and the politicians that we are entering a knowledge sharing with not the intention, but with the full force to change the course with the sharing of the technology and knowledge with all the nations at the same time. This is the job of the Keshe Foundation and the knowledge seekers. And now you have the television channel and every other means to spread the knowledge and work on a dimension and direction of the totality. Any other question? We'll finish today around about 12 o'clock, if it's okay.
Mm-hmm. We have some questions from Dan here, and in the Q&A, he says, when we talk about capacitor batteries that power the maggrav or unit for plasma feeding, we can think in the sense of interactions between different levels of field strength?
Yes. You don't know if you have energy unless you can put a point of reference on it, or you can put something in it that it shows is moving. As I said to a knowledge seeker, a water is a water. You stand, in a massive volume of water. You don't know if it's a lake and it's stationary or it's a river, unless you stand in it and see the direction of the motion of the water, which transfers its energy to you, or you can see the transfer of energy by motion of the liquid. You have no point of reference of the energy unless you put something as a zero, which is you standing there stationary, see how fast or at all moving or transferring its energy to you. And it's the same. You have to create a point of reference or interaction that shows by interacting that there is a difference. If there is no difference, you have no interaction, you have no change of energy. This is what we call, in the present world of science, potential energy, or the difference in position. Where we have the kinetic energy, we talk about the energy in respect to the motion and how fast. It's the same in the world of plasma.
Okay,
we call it higher strength and lower strength. In the world of the electric current, we call it the potential. Position in respect to each other.
So I think that answers at least partly the second part of the questions from Dan here, who goes on, can any GANs be considered to be GANs from GANs because of the fields created between different intensities of the same GANs?
Yes. I think John in Arizona has already shown that 2-3 years ago.
Goes on to say the existence of two fields leads to the creation of the third one that interacts with the two. So there's a trinity.
Yes. In the teachings in the past, we always spoke about the GANs of GANs. And I think if John is in the background, if he's still with us, he can explain that. So I remember they'd done this test. In Arizona, they did this test. You see John on the list?
I don't see John there, no.
No, it's too late in Arizona.
The third part of it is, I'm not sure if this will be clear. Can we look into one, we have an infinity, and in a diverse infinity we have the unity of totality, one.
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think the translation might be a little bit rough on that one. It says creator is in the creation and creation is in the creator. So it's the words have to be perhaps come directly from the person that's asking the question or something there. Okay, let's carry on here. We have there's a question from Angel, and this comes up, it's in the YouTube comments, and she asks, this is a common sort of question or problem that people run into, especially with the signing of the peace treaty, so perhaps you can help. She says, I want world peace more than ever, but I know that if someone tried to harm me, I would evaporate them. I wonder what Mr. Keshe feels about protecting oneself from someone trying to harm others.
Explain.
Well, the idea is that people want world peace and they're willing to sign the World Peace Treaty, but when it comes right down to protecting themselves, they might pick up a weapon and, as she says, evaporate someone that would be trying to harm them. So there's a conflict there.
I had this discussion very recently. And that is, you leave it to the station of the soul and nothing else. I tell what will be the outcome if my wish is granted. And as those who we know we don't make any wish to harm, we know it'll be granted. And it's always to be, not to harm the others, but for what you have done, not to harm them, to yourself. It means, if I can explain it in a way, if there is a glass of water on the table and they wish, let's say, to throw it at you, if it's your wish that this water to be absorbed by me before it's thrown at me, then there is no water to throw. This is the way that we will change. I was explaining this to a knowledge seeker in past 2 or 3 days. That's why I can tell you exactly. I don't wish harm. I explain what harm they can do to themselves, but I take that position of what I have created or what I've done, not to be harmed, to be taken out of position. This needs a lot of maturity of understanding. It needs a lot of contemplation and understanding the totality. In the olden days, we hear a lot of the parents say, I wish you're never born, to the children. I wish I've never created you. In essence, now I put it in a different way. I wish the soul to become back to be part of me, that it becomes no harm to itself and to the others. In a way, I accept the responsibility of the elevation of that soul to myself, than leaving it in the hand of the time and the space. As I'm the creator, as part of the creation of that soul, you don't wish death, you don't wish nothing else, but you explain the consequences of me taking my peace back. It could be a loss for someone else, but without harm, because it doesn't exist for their dimension. And in a way, we don't end the life, but we elevate the life. We elevate the soul. And this needs a lot of understanding. This needs a lot of maturity. And in a way, the listener always thinks, oh, you're going to kill. No, I don't kill. I allow the soul to be elevated in the dimension and the position of itself within the structure of me that is not there to create a problem for the other and the others. But when you have led to such a position, other sequences and consequences, as things have moved to be here, have to be adjusted. And this is a very, very different way that has been understood up to now. In a way, I take the responsibility as I have made a mistake in creating such a condition, and not blaming the others or the other position and souls. This is what we call to mature to the time. To mature, to understand the responsibility that you should have put the soul from the beginning in the right place, in the right order, that such a position should have never risen. And this has a lot of implication in the coming time when the soul becomes the creator of the physicality. There shall be no time that no father and no being wishes the death of another one or annihilation of the other one. I explained this very clearly to the knowledge seekers in many times in the past few weeks, because this is a very essence of discussion in some topics, in some corners. And that is, we do not end life. We take the responsibility of the soul which we have created, and for that soul to be created, to be in that position, means many souls have agreed. But I take the responsibility to elevate, but those souls have to create their conditions to the new position. And a lot of people say, you wish death. No, we don't. We accept the responsibility of maturing the soul to a new dimension. What we have been part of. It could be my grandchild, it could be your grandchild, it could be your brother, it could be my child, or whatever. We don't finish a cycle. We accept the responsibility of what we have put in to be in that position and time. Then it's like you're putting a magnet in the middle of the table, and a lot of things have changed to accommodate that magnet. Now, when you take it out, everything goes back, or you take part of yours out, everything goes back to the new situation. Even it could be that what you put in there is not acceptable in position, which means the others who have accommodated it have to change too because of the movement and what we call evacuation or reduction in the strength in that position. You can never wish death, but you can bring, with understanding of the soul, new elevation of the soul, that your soul takes out what he has put in there to create a new condition for the others to elevate. And it's a totally different way of approach, and it's the correct way to approach it. So you don't need to annihilate, you don't need to vaporize. If you go to that terminology, you're totally lost. But I take, and what I take, this is maybe if you mature enough to understand the other side of it. It's been said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. A man goes and takes an eye out because of an eye. But it means when I take the energy of that point, the others have to accommodate for what is lost, the total energy which has been removed, and then a new condition is created for totality. This is the way the souls work. And you have to understand everything else has moved to be in this position that this person is there, or this soul is there. When you elevate the soul, then all the other souls have made many moves with the conjunction of many other souls for this soul to be there. All have to move, but they don't go back to where they were before this soul was created. They all take new positions, even if it means something, another soul has to move out of the whole structure for the thing to balance out to be correct. Then you call it eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. This is the true explanation of it in the level and understanding of the totality of the soul. And now, you don't take your tooth out because a dentist is taking your tooth out. You don't take eye out if somebody by accident takes an eye out. It's that you take the responsibility of that soul, which you have been responsible to put in that position, or the action of your soul has been responsible for it to be there. And then you elevate it. And then everything else which has brought that soul to that position have to find new dimensions for themselves. This will stop man in the future to claim anything false, because man stands responsible to elevate what he thinks should have not been done, not to demolish it, but to elevate it. In the future, I'll explain this in a very, very detail for knowledge seekers to understand. Any other question?
Okay, let's see here. From Liliana, we have a nano coding question from a fellow member of the Hispanic community. If nano coats used in the reactor cannot, I have to rephrase the question here. Can nano coating used in a reactor be nano coated again, and what way would it affect using them in a new production of GANs? If they cannot be reused, what would be the reason?
No, translate.
Yeah. I think what they're saying is if your nano coating is not good in the reactor, in a GANs container, can it be re-nano coated? Or
yes, we do that every day in the Keshe Foundation manufacture.
So you use the same basic procedure as the initial?
Yes, it's the same elements, you just bring it up.
And you're talking about caustic.
Has developed, yes. In the Keshe Foundation factories, we see when plates are used, after a while, we lose the strength of the production. In a way, it's because of the lack of the oxygen, but sometimes the plates move, that the fields are not the strength we need. We put them back into nano coating. And sometimes we have beautiful residuals which we use as part of other processes. But yes, we do. And as I said, the Keshe Foundation China has developed a new, fully integrated nano coating machines, which now is going to be implemented in all our factories, where at the moment you have all the, problems with the caustics and everything. They have developed a system which has its own tank. It has its own tank of caustic. And from the minute you press a button till you get your nano coated 48 hours later, you don't touch anything. So when they use the nano plates in their production, they take everything out of the cycle and they all go back together in one system, totally fully integrated system. And when you put the plates back into the rack, they're all of the same order. And we produce always continuously the same kind of gases in the order. And this process is beautiful because there is no wastage. We developed this because we are a zero, what we call emission technology. And one of the problems we had was the production of the caustic water and caustics with a high temperature. This way, nothing changes. It's totally sealed unit. And the caustic water in departing or being moved from the system goes into a reserve tank, which goes for a soap production. We have developed a total zero emission in every aspect in the Keshe Foundation. We developed a beautiful safe system that, when you add a caustic, you get the steam and everything else, all has been looked after. And each production line of the GAN system has one of these units with it. As you do, you have the caustic, and then you have the hot water, and then you have how to get rid of it. All has been integrated into one system. By accident, it was shown by one of our knowledge seekers in China for a very short few minutes in public a few days ago. And we took it out very rapidly, but this is part of the structure. Keshe Foundation now has completed its first agricultural unit in Austria for farming. And the videos of it was made last Thursday or last Friday. And soon will be shown as a fully integrated system to feed and for agriculture and disinfectant of what we call animal husbandry, using the same kind of technology and the knowledge. And we have gone, as I said, into what we call looking after the farming in a very totally different way, that from the seed to be grown, to be fed to the animal, to the point of feeding the animal, looking after the animal, till the point they leave the farm, now is fully integrated as one system for the Keshe Foundation with a new farm unit. I'm sure Mr. Casimir, head of the Keshe Foundation, soon will release this video for agriculturists who want to use a system not only for farming, but in looking after the animals and everything else. It's a beautiful self-integrated system. Try to understand the technology in its essence. We will not stop teaching. We will not stop sharing knowledge as long as there is life in this body and as long as we can share freely. We have caused evolution and a lot of position for scientific work to adjust, as we are not a theological organization, we are a scientific organization. Try to understand the teaching of today, mainly on understanding of the plasma physics and understanding in how the changes will come. And in that process, we might mature. And in that process, we might learn more about ourselves, more about our own creation now, how we are and we have been created. The understanding of the process of life comes from the maturity of the man. And hopefully we all mature very rapidly to understand the totality and somehow find the balance within ourselves. Thank you very much for today. We hope we see you in a short time, somewhere around the world. Today will be more or less the last time we'll be live on TV channel, and we'll go back to the usual way as we try to share knowledge and spread the knowledge and be around with different people around the world. As the corona situation is settling down, allows us to come back to share and be amongst the knowledge seekers. In the next couple of weeks, we move to different positions around the world. And as I said, we meet each other in July in Romania, around 20th, depending where the Romanian community is set up. And then we will meet most probably, I hope, somewhere before our meeting in July in Romania, we all meet in Tehran and in the head offices and the offices of the Keshe Foundation in Iran. And hopefully next week and the week after, we'll be in different points and positions on this planet to share knowledge. We don't disclose most of our movement and the dates for security reasons, but today, for the time being, with the last transmission from the studios of the Keshe Foundation, you will see us on what we call the whiteboard and the panels of teaching has been, but the TV channel will still broadcast the same way for the records. And we try to create a condition that gradually the knowledge seekers will take position about the teachings on TV channel as the programs have started loading up, as we promised, from 21st of April. Now the television channel is building its programs and gradually to a full-time as different groups are taking shape and taking position and taking responsibility for own languages. Thank you very much for today, and we'll meet next week in another point and position somewhere on this planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for yet another Knowledge Seekers workshop here, full of interesting and necessary knowledge for humanity and others.
Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy i musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy, Duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto, co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.